And good morning. Today is Tuesday, the 9th of August 2022. I am Jake Payne. I'm happy actually to have the right Chiron there for the date. And this is things you might have heard. We here at the Conversation Project present you this Monday through Friday, early morning start to the day with a list of things to do for your coffee chat or your tea chat as I do to open up my day, or just your talkie chat. Just the news stories for the past it's Tuesday, past 30 hours or so that were interesting enough because you said they're interesting enough to chat about. And so we're presenting you here. We take 15 at the top. We have 35 stories posted over in the last 30 hours. So 35 different things posted. Top 15 took about 9 of them. Had a hard time whittling them down today, and I can't even remember exactly. So we've got a lot of stories to get to in just a minute. Kind of quick hydration moment, just a second. Hydration is important for these things. More information about what goes on at this thing, go to thisistheconversationproject.com, our main website, where you can find out links to our sponsorships page, our partnerships page, and just other things you know. And if you miss some things, you can go back and check them out in the past. Even though it seems like news is a few days old is a few days old, a lot of things need to be caught up on. A lot of things we put out here when we get them early, honestly, before they actually make traction for big stories. We are calling ourselves your news side piece, a tertiary news source where we don't get the main things out there, because right now everything is basically Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Lago. We have some of that, but there are some other things popping up that they're starting to sprinkle in once they get past the big story, which is the big get, which is Donald Trump. We'll get to him. Basically, we'll get to him right now. FBI executes search warrant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago in document investigation. Search warrant was executed at the Mar-a-Lago estate, the home of now former President Donald Trump. They, went through his stuff. He, of course, had rumored to have, not only rumored, I kind of basically bragged about the stuff he took away from the White House. Many of the gifts that are basically going to go to the museums because they're gifts to the presidency, so they're gifts to America, not him. And boxes and boxes of documents. I believe 14 boxes of documents were taken that were either classified or just wrongly taken based off the Presidential Records Act. When you're the president, everything you put your name on, everything you put ink to paper for has to be calculated, has to be record, has to be cataloged in some case. Wasn't happening for D. Trump. And well, now the FBI thinks it's serious enough that they have to actually put in a case for search warrant. So they went through his stuff. Donald Trump, of course, called it a witch hunt, which calls everything witch hunt. Said no other president, no other person is as prosecuted as he is, which he says a lot. And we'll see how this thing will go. We don't know exactly what the warrant said, how deep the scope is, whether this is in conjunction with January 6th or just because President Trump just doesn't do what he's supposed to do. We'll probably see more of this as more comes to light. But if essentially, if Merrick Garland had the balls to put a search warrant on Donald Trump, the former president, it's probably something worth doing. Let's move to story number 2. And this story was actually the biggest story of the day. Oklahoma football assistant coach Cale Gundy resigns after saying a hurtful word in film session. So here's what happened. Film session was going on for Oklahoma football, and Cale Gundy was doing his tirade, because, that's what coaches do. You guys need to hit harder, do more, blah, blah, blah. Somewhere, someone, and we don't know who, was, kind of giggling and reading off their iPad. So he grabs the iPad and he does what you see in every single movie about the class clown guy in school. Reads aloud what the kid is reading. Essentially, back in the day, this would be the note that was passed over from the girl. We don't know what was on the iPad. We don't know why he was on the iPad, but we know there was a hurtful, racially charged word that was said by Cale Gundy, who no one apparently wants to repeat what word it was, because I can't find the word anywhere, at least not in the story text, the things that, with the things that are actually, word. I hadn't found anything, any slang thing either. There are plenty of reasons. I have plenty of ideas what it could be, but I have no idea what it is. They also have not identified which player it is, which of course will probably help you figure out what racially charged and hurtful word was used in the film session. So we may never know. That's not true. We'll probably know this by tomorrow once this thing gets over and we're done talking about Donald Trump and his records. This will be a bigger deal going into football season, which starts literally in weeks now. But we will know, see what Cale Gundy said sooner or later. But this is a big deal. Now, this is a big deal, not so much because it is a football coach or it is a player in particular, but because we're getting caught. The collective we are getting caught doing the bad things we could get away with back in the day. Back in the day, he could have got away with doing this stuff. Today, because of the nature it is, love it or hate it, you can't. Gabby Petito's family files $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against Utah police. Now, they're suing against the two officers that stopped Petito and Laundrie, plus the bosses, the chief and the assistant chief at the time. $50 million against them. They're saying that if they would actually have, did the right things and really saw what was going on, they would have seen that Gabby Petito was actually not the aggressor, that Brian Laundrie was the actual aggressor in the situation. And instead of just telling them, okay, you guys go, stay in separate rooms tonight, if they would have, brought them in and maybe even filed a charge against Laundrie, they said based on the interview, they would have filed against Petito and they were trying to protect her. Maybe they would not had what had happened. Maybe Gabby Petito's body would not have been found as she was murdered a month later. Maybe. If different interventions happened, maybe something would have been different. This is the same thing as saying in all the killings we had last summer and summers prior, where white officers were killing black victims for whatever reasons, whatever, that if maybe they didn't pull them over for something minor, the escalation would not have happened and there would not have been a murder. Same thing applies. It's hard to play the maybe game, but when you're talking about money, you can play the maybe game. They're filing $50 million in a wrongful death suit to see if what could happen. Now, many people say there really isn't much they could have done in this case that would have changed much of anything. Locking them both up for a day may have changed something, or maybe the chain of events would have happened eventually anyway. But in this case, the Petito family believe that something different would have happened. Something different would have happened. Now, the punchline to this is actually the fact that in a discussion with my wife this yesterday, she decided this would be a great topic to do to launch a sort of podcast between the two of us, where we could basically argue our sides of the story, because she gave a side of the story, and I said, well, you know what? It could be sort of this thing. I can guarantee you, mark the tape, guarantee you, this podcast will never come to fruition. Put a mark on that one. China extends threatening military exercises towards Taiwan because they're China. China is right now showing their muscle around Taiwan because Nancy Pelosi. They're scared of Nancy. They're really scared of imperialists, which we Americans are to them. And so Nancy Pelosi as the third in line for the presidency is a pretty big deal. Even if there's literally no chance in hell, they're going to let Nancy Pelosi get close to that spot. However, just the saber rattling as it goes along is the saber rattling goes along. China is doing more exercises around Taiwan. Meanwhile, the United States and the Taiwanese and the Koreans and the Japanese are backing away from all of their exercises because China. The meme stock craze is back. AMC, GameStop, and Bed Bath and Beyond soar. Missed that ampersand. Sorry about that one. And this is a pretty simple story. The stock market is starting to make a rebound, if you will. It's not a massive jump. I am still down, about $1,000 literally for the year on my Robinhood stocks, and we talk about that often. I'm not up on there; I'm down a bit, but I put a bit in and made a bunch, but now I'm down, a bunch at this point as well. But what's rising right now are the game stocks, are the meme stocks that were basically not exactly good companies, but people could raise them up because once you sold them, made a bunch of money. GameStop, Bed Bath Beyond, and AMC are up, 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 up. So if you own them legitimately, then you're up at the moment, and I suggest you look for a good point to sell. If you don't own them, don't buy them because you're already past the game part of the game. And if you own actual good, good stock that you hope is going to rebound, don't be so quick to get rid of it. Just kind of watch the market, watch where things are going. The market is going to rebound. Market is rebounding now. The big issue is based on how your losses are, it may take a little while to catch back up. I had some pretty big, made some pretty big bets on some things that expanded quite a bit, that lost quite a bit, but were still positive. But so when I balance those out, the ones that are losing just don't balance out with the ones that are winning. That's how the market works. Like I said, I'm down $1,000 or so, but we're not talking about the life savings. We're talking about things that have been kind of inched in over the past 5-6 years of just getting stuff and losing bits and pieces. Over the last 3 months, I'm up 300, but overall, it's one of those things. So the market's working up. But don't buy GameStop, Bed Bath Beyond, and AMC. I am not a broker. This is not money advice. This is just a guy who watches these things. I want to make sure you don't just throw money out at some random thing. Next story, Aaron Rodgers' use of ayahuasca, which I can never say, ayahuasca, I can't say that word, won't get him in trouble with NFL, league says. Click the link and go deeper into this story. Aaron Rodgers apparently went on a spiritual journey, if you will, using ashwana to kind of clear his mind and go through some stuff. I guess all the girlfriends and all the stuff and not winning the last couple of years has gotten to him. So he took this stuff and did his thing and did his sweat log, whatever. You check out the link, go deeper in this. Because he used that, and it's not necessarily a controlled substance necessarily, there's not going to be any issues with this. It's not like he smoked weed or anything like that, which is weed. It's not like anybody dies in this stuff, which they actually do. But Aaron Rodgers won't have any issues with his ashwasha. I can't say that word going forward. Will he keep using it? Hopefully not. We shall see. Father, son get life for hate crime in Ahmaud Arbery's death. Our original headline was man in Arbery's death get life in prison. This is a second life in prison, a federal court on top of that. But the father and son duo who killed Ahmaud Arbery are getting another life sentence because they're really, really not very smart and kind of evil and dumb. I said dumb. It's really not much to really go deeper into this one. It's just that this is something that happened. This is another case where if they would have left well enough alone, this guy would not be dead. They would not be going to jail for a second life term if they would just left one person alone and did not fall for the Barney Fife citizens arrest stuff, because it ain't true. Let's move on. John Laurinitis released for WWE. This means absolutely nothing to most people, but if you're a fan of professional wrestling, the combat sports in general, and WWE specifically, John Laurinaitis is a long-time thorn in the sides of people on the fan side, not more universe side, that's been sort of in the running things in the company and sometimes running things in the ground. With the retirement of Vince McMahon and the takeover by his son-in-law, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H. Changes are afoot. Changes are afoot very quickly in the way the program's running, and things are running more like Triple H ran the NXT brand back in the day before Vince McMahon kind of redid everything last minute. John Laurinaitis, not known for having some questionable things. There are other people that they believe will be leaving, and with the return and surprise return to many different players who were released recently back into the fold for major storylines. We'll see how this plays out for the fans. Like I said, this means a lot to me because I'm a deep, long professional wrestling fan, sports entertainment fan, as they call it here for branding purposes. And I'm a big fan of WWE from way back in the Hulk Hogan days. Yes, I'll say that. Not a fan of him these days, but a fan of the brand. And finally, wrapping up, an announcement of the passing of two people in the past day. Olivia Newton-John, singer, everybody brought up Grease, but of course she had a very long and very active career just in music in general, and did some things in the latter years where she popped up in some places, dead at the age of 73, battling a lot of health issues. She was. And David McCullough dies, who's Pulitzer Prize-winning historian at 89 years old, also happening yesterday. Our teaser for your story for the day. Not a lot of stuff going into teasers going into, but we have some deeper stuff. We expect as people sort of kind of get past the Donald Trump stuff, because that's a big deal, they'll get back into doing more randomish stories, more stories across the spectrum. Here's one that popped up this morning that we put in there, and we'll see if this is going to be something that's interesting. Preventive care such as birth control, anti-HIV medicine challenge in Texas lawsuit. Read the story from this headline. It's going to come down in the next couple of minutes or so. So it's going to be in your feeds pretty quickly. Check it out. See if this is something you want to talk about. This is one of those things that's going to be a unexpected consequence of many of the things happening right now, because of a lot of laws, a lot of things changing. This can affect different types of other things you're not thinking about. One of the things we talk about for, the abortion bans are also causing issues for people who are trying to not so much abort, but to clear out babies, because there are still babies there after having miscarriages, because they still have to give birth through the being that's in their bodies, because they're getting rid of these procedures, which are used a lot for people who need to clear a body from their body. That's an issue, and that's causing for people having to literally give birth to dead children and risk their lives in those cases. Here's some cases where there's going to be a lot of things going on in cases because of Texas and all the things they're doing. Some of them may have some sense of reality, many of them don't. And we're going to see how this works out in Texas. We're going to see how it works out across the nation. We're going to see if we talk about this tomorrow, if you deem this engaging enough, and you can do that. We'll explain the engagement part in a bit. Right now, why don't you engage in this being Blinkist? This is the conversationproject.com/Blinkist is the link to get yourself, as the thing says, more knowledge and less time, and so much more knowledge. Now you get twice the knowledge for the price of one. You can literally share your Blinkist subscription with another person, and they get all the benefits of Blinkist for one price. I, the other night, shared the link with my wife so she gets a chance to join in on the love I have for Blinkist. Books and podcasts in 15 minutes. You can literally read a book that will take you, that's an hours long read in long form. And I do this a lot. I often will get a book on Amazon or on Audible. That's the long form book, after I've gotten the book on Blinkist, so I can get the gist of it and then go deeper into the book. For that way, I go backwards. If there's some kind of nonfiction book or biography that you've been wanting to read, they have it on Blinkist. If not, they're getting it pretty soon on Blinkist. You can read books or literally read them in their blinks or listen to them as audio blinks in about 15 minutes. Some books are longer because some books are longer, but most of them about 15 minutes or so. They also have larger scale podcasts. They boil down, they edit down to about 15 minutes or so, or sometimes a bit longer going on. All the long Malcolm Gladwell, blah, 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 blah. And I say that as a fan of Malcolm Gladwell, boil down to about 10, 15 minutes as opposed to the full hour of listening. Get the full gist of it right there. If you don't have a lot of time, check this thing out. I read, air quotes, a book every single night before I go to bed, and read a book 2 or 3 mornings on the way to work because of Blinkist. This is the conversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is the conversationproject.com/Blinkist, Blinkist. Check them out today. So the websites of note, we're going to talk about that whole feed thing in mere moments. Starting off with this at theconversationproject.com. This is our main website, the home of the Conversation Project, brought to you by More Better Media, LLC. See what's going on with the Conversation Project. Of course, find ways to help us out because we have to ask these questions. Links to our partnership page, or maybe you want to partner up with us directly. Links to our sponsors page. If you want to visit one of our sponsors, we get a cut from what you pay. When you pay nothing extra, try that there. Just links to things that we need you to help us out with. Merch is coming up soon. We're going to rebuild our merch page so you can get merch there and wear conversation stuff. And just find out stuff. If you've missed something, it's there at the website. Our feeds are on Facebook and Twitter. Check them out and follow them. And as you check your feeds throughout the day for your Facebook and Twitter, see what we have going on and like, love, hate, share, engage with the stories. The higher engagement score they get over the day, higher chance they get a chance to talk about in the morning. We talk about the top 15 stories on Tuesday through Friday morning. So we get over 30 stories in the listing based on time. Posting one every 50 minutes, by the way. That's why it's never quite evened up, because it got kind of scattered going on the day. So over the day, we'll post over 30, usually 33 stories or so. We pick the top 15 and we whittle those down to 5 to 9 stories of things that you say you vet as conversational, plus the Twitter bots. They do their thing too. We're on the TikTok and on YouTube, of course. TikTok at The Conversation Project, doing what we can to do the TikTok. Not very well, but getting it done. And on YouTube at The Conversation Project. Make sure you subscribe and you hit notifications. So at 5:50 a.m. weekday mornings, you get the full-blown thing every single week. On Mondays, we do with some other my extended channels, but 5 days a week, we're on the Facebook page, obviously, and the YouTube channel for The Conversation Project. Today, things starting off with birthdays of the day. Birthdays, a birthday, Curtis Blow. And these are the breaks of turning 63 years old. Curtis Blow, pioneer in rap hip hop from back in the day. So many people have used his thoughts, used his lyrics, sampled his music, and know and love Curtis Blow from back in the day. Also, now Coach Sanders, no longer just Neon Dion. Coach Sanders, 55 years old on the day, preparing for another football season at his college, and of course, not quite complaining although complaining about the players getting paid officially now and with NIL deals, but also saying, you know what? If they get the chance, they going to take the money. Of course, Cuomo, 52 years old today, I forgot to take the is out. Yes, he is 52 years today. Doing nothing particular at the moment. Of course, the new podcast. I believe the podcast, it doesn't launch until this month. I don't know if the podcast has actually launched yet, but he does have a new show coming to News Nation coming up in a month or so. I believe it's going to be previous to Dan Abrams. Maybe it's after Dan Abrams. We're not sure if Ashley Banfield should be worried, but she probably should be worried. Today is International Day of the World's Indigenous People. So make sure you search for that or click the link that we have in our media and see what's going on with that one. This is a big celebration. Google even has a doodle for it for today. So check this out. International Day of the World's Indigenous People today. Now, are the kids away? Get out the earmuffs. Get 5 seconds to send them off with another iPad to go see whatever. 4 1000, 3 1000, 2 1000, 1. When is your favorite time of the day to have sex? If you're not one of 32% of Americans who start their day with some frisky action, maybe you should join their ranks. It appears mornings are the most popular time for mattress aerobics for Americans. The usual and mundane evening time is second at 26%. The middle of the night trails behind at 23%. For some people, all these options lack excitement. It's this 9% of daredevils who like to leave work in the middle of the day to get some action. The remaining 8% of those surveyed also enjoyed daytime loving, but were responsible enough to keep it to lunchtime only. That was your things you might have heard for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for joining us on this romp, pun intended, of news and commentary and information for you go out there. Remember to stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task, because we need you around for all the great, grand, super things we need you for. Thank you so much for being a part of what we have going on. Stop by the feeds. Make sure you're voting up stories. Stop by our website and go to a sponsors page. Check out our partnerships page and just do the do. Also, pun intended. We'll do again tomorrow morning, as we are already posting news stories for the vast swath of people to get into tomorrow. So thank you so much for being a part of this thing today. Let's have another morning delight coming up tomorrow morning.